with me.
No, just you wait. In a month, John McAfee is going to be bragging about like
how he fucked all these guys in prison.
Yeah, but he's gonna be bragging about how he did it in both ends. It's like I was giving and receiving in prison. That's just how much of an alpha I am. We just ensure that John McAfee will never be on the moral minority. No, he will either never be on the moral minority, or he will decide that he definitely wants to be on the moral minority.
Point is, he's going to do what he's going to do. It's like Edward Norton going to convince Hannibal Lecter to look at his file or whatever. You're gonna do what you're going to do, regardless of. I'm not going to convince you.
Our other president in exile, Rand Paul, has just given word from on high. Like he's descended from Mount Trump. And with his tablets, he says, Trump says that he's ending the war in Afghanistan soon. And Dan, you say that Trump tweeted out the word libertarians in his usual law and order. Liberate Michigan. Libertarians. Like,
I have to find it. So he says, thank you, libertarians. We are getting it all done. And fast. Vote Trump. So there it is. Is everyone ready to vote? Because Trump says if you vote for him later, he will end this war that he could end right now. It's so fucking shady. I hate it so much. He does this with everything. He goes, hey, I'm going to do all these great things. Can't do it now, of course, obviously. Why? Why can't you do it now? Fucking sign the paper.
No. Congress did pass a measure that restricted denied funding to any troop withdrawal. It costs money to withdraw troops because of the Russian bounty story, remember?
But then how is he going to stop that?
I don't know. That's the beauty of it.
Okay, so he can't withdraw the troops. So then how's he going to stop the war?
Oh, who knows? But just be like,
but don't worry. Later, I will do it. Not now, when I have power. But if you elect me again, then I will do it. If you fall for this, I'm sorry. If you fall for this, you deserve what you get, okay? The guy is literally the fucking president. He keeps pretending he's not. He keeps pretending, oh man, when I get in, I'm going to do so many great things. You're fucking there, bro.
He's basically not president. He's basically not president.
Now, I agree he's basically not president because I don't think he has the kind of power that he thought he was going to get. But it's not like your second term unlocks some reservoir of power that didn't exist before. It's the same fucking job.
If Trump doesn't if Trump were to announce a troop withdrawal, the troops would need to hitchhike or pay for their own gas home. But speaking of liberating Michigan, I totally forgot about this. There was apparently a plot to kidnap the governor of Michigan, Governor Whitmer, and it was 6 people of some militia that nobody's heard of, and it was 6 or 7 people, of whom 2 were undercover feds. And another 2, so 4 out of 6 or 7 were with the FBI. Everybody knew this ahead of time. That's the thing about these militias. Like a lot of people don't understand just how many like far right people are in their social circles. But if there's a reason that a lot of us don't believe, and yes, I'm identifying both of us as far right in this context, don't realize how insane it is. Like
I disavow that definition.
Right. It was like, oh, this militia was going to, kidnap the governor. And I was like, what's the name of this militia? And then we hear it and it's like, that's fake. There's no such group. Because even if we don't have like an encyclopedic knowledge of a group, if a name is our first, if our first time hearing about our group is them getting arrested by the feds, we know it's fake.
Yeah.
Right. Because we all, we both have like a vague working knowledge of like, of whose group
we've done our militia tour,
right? You hear about a group and you'll just kind of know, like, oh, is that Jason Kessler's thing? Is that Richard Spencer's thing? Is that I don't have like a Rolodex of white supremacists, but like we can at least draw a name to it. Oh, is this a chapter of such and such group? But it's like, oh yeah, I don't even know what the name of this group that plans to kidnap Governor Whitmer is. But it's like, who's fucking heard of this? Which means it was started by the FBI.
So the real story, I love how this was supposed to be a story, that it made it sound like hundreds or thousands or millions of people had conspired to kidnap Gretchen Whitmer. In reality, what happened was it was a fake. She was never going to be kidnapped. It was a fake. And they convinced 2 guys to stand in the room with them while they told him about their plan.
Yeah. And what's also insane, the left is hypocritical again. When the story first broke, anybody with even basic pattern recognition skills knew, like, oh, the feds did this. or it's an FBI entrapment thing. But fine, there was no proof, and then the proof came out a week later, and then the Democrats are holding two simultaneous narratives in their mind. One, no, you're just excusing white supremacy, because Michael Tracy brought this up. Oh, Michael Tracy is just, running cover for white nationalists again. And two, actually,
classic Michael Tracy.
Right, and the FBI did this all the time. Yeah, that's right, but to Muslims. It's like, so you recognize that the FBI habitually would go into mosques and just find any disaffected guy and say, hey, Muslim, I have a plan to, blow up the Federal Reserve building here. Just walk around with me while I procure all these materials. Hey, hold this button really quick. You're under arrest. Right. The FBI did this all the time in mosques and to Muslim community centers. We know it's true. That's why they say, there's this line that's oh, white nationalism was actually the greatest source of terror in the United States. They commit the most terror attacks every year. If you think that, go see the previous episode for my thoughts. And if you really walk around the year 2020 thinking that America has this spate of white nationalist terror that goes on year after year, and we're just cowering in fear of it, and we just don't know, can anybody name someone?
Scott Adams was talking about this on his show. Because he was saying how they'll say Trump's FBI even said this is the number one problem in the country.
Trump's FBI, 99% of money donated by the FBI went to Democrats in 2016. Just to be clear, the FBI is more Democratic than black people, all right? 95% of blacks vote Democrat. 99% of money donated by FBI agents went to Democrats.
Even that FBI, that bastion of right-wing zealotry at the FBI, says that white supremacist violence is the number one terrorist issue in the country. And Scott Adams had a question about that, not as someone who has a dog in this hunt, but as someone who has a background with data. Mm-hmm. He said, how come I've never heard of a single incident? And then he looked it up, and he's like, okay, Timothy McVeigh. And then
that's all they have. They have these very incontrovertible cases. The
problem in the country, you would expect it to be happening. They'd have cases. There'd be cases all over the place. Look at this one. Look at that one. Look at this one. Look at that one. There's none. Or he asked someone, and they provided him a list, and he found that the lists all contain the same. They're double, triple, 50 counting the same incidents. And he was
individual offender, right?
He was comparing it to this. At his company, there was it was a quick story, but at his company, he was in charge of creating basically a testing lab for their products that they were trying to sell, because they said, we get all this demand saying, I need to test out your products. So this is the big thing. So what he was trying to get is, where's the data that shows the sales we missed out on by not having this? And he would ask someone, and they would say, oh, I don't know, but I mean, I've heard from so many customers saying we need one of these that's got to just be the tip of the iceberg. And then he would go to someone else, and they would say, yeah, but we've heard from so many customers. And it turned out, when he actually narrowed it down, it turned out to be one guy had said, do you guys have a place I can test this? And they said no, and he bought it anyway. But that guy had talked to 4 different people, and each one of those people assumed this guy is just the tip of a larger iceberg. If I'm hearing from him, there must be 100 people behind him. When he brought this to the attention of his bosses, they didn't say, oh, great, now we don't have to spend this money on this test lab. They said, no, we need the test lab because that's what we need. It was just in their head. It was never a real problem. It was a phantom problem. And I feel like that's this.
Here are the exact stats. 99% of political campaign contributions from Department of Justice employees went to Hillary Clinton. By comparison, academics, 93% of money from academics went to Hillary Clinton, and 96% of money from journalists went to Hillary Clinton. That means the FBI, at least the ones FBI or Department of Justice, of which the FBI is a bureau, it's the United States Department of Justice, Federal Bureau of Investigation, right? The Department of Justice is more democratic in its donations than academia, journalism, and and black people. That there is no such thing as Trump's FBI. It doesn't fucking exist. The only way statistically you could make it true is to say that of all the money donated by Department of Justice employees, less than 2% was from FBI agents, and therefore that entire 1% that went to Republicans was from FBI agents, and that was therefore 2/3 FBI donations. That is possible. That is a way the data could work out given the constraints I just gave. If you believe that, shut off this podcast right now and just stop listening. I don't want your ears. I don't want you in my data set.
Joe
Go
Biden
away.
move right there. Power move.
Yeah, go away. If you really think that 1% or less than 2% of the money donated by the Department of Justice was from FBI agents and more than half of that went to Republicans, that's the only fucking way you could think that there's any such thing as a Republican-controlled or influenced Department of Justice.
Yeah, if you believe
Or
that,
FBI.
this podcast is not for you.
Yeah, this is not the podcast.
Go listen to some blue pill garbage like the Tom Woods show.
Oh my God.
Oh, by the way, this might not even make it into the show. Sidebar on Tom Woods. I love how he's becoming more and more unhinged about the lockdowns. This is my favorite thing, is I've noticed there's a subset of people, I'm kind of one of them, I know a few of them on Tumblr, who it's the anti-lockdown thing is starting to dominate all they talk about. It's all they think. And I love it because everything they say is right and true and correct, but you can see them being driven mad. And it's like they're going, fine, I'm going to be this person. That's the person I'm going to be. I'm going to be quoting statistics at you about COVID cases and mask mandates. And did you know that the false positive rate? And they do the Alex Jones thing where you have all that, I have the documents, and you're just yelling and you're giving them all the data. They've already said, we've proven it. It's in the documents. I love these people. Those people, all of you, keep fighting. Stay angry. Don't become docile. That's what they want. They want us to fall asleep and become docile. Become an unhinged lunatic screaming about mask mandates. I'm not kidding. I'm not insulting these people at all. I look at those people, and some people probably look at them and think, oh my God, these people are fucking nuts. Let it go. I look at them and I say, you are the people fighting the good fight. I respect you. I admire you. Keep shouting. If you see people wearing masks, you make a crowd around them and you tell them they are not welcome.
Dan, I fully agree with you, but I have another thing I want to talk about too. If you really want to understand how absolutely useless the Republican Party is, think about this. The Republican Party is so fucked. I mean, you were there. We our first time meeting in person, Dan, was when we were at a Ron Paul event. This guy, he had given a speech about the Russiagate investigation, and he said America is so topsy-turvy that the losers of an election use the courts to prosecute the winners. And honestly, if you were looking at the way things are right now, you would think that the Democrats have controlled, the presidency and Senate and House basically nonstop for 50 years. The Republicans have had pretty much a presidency since 1960, basically equal years to the Democrats. I don't care to look up the numbers. It's been basically the same. Yet somehow, even with a Republican president, their own voters can't speak out publicly for fear of losing their jobs. The Republicans have had all this power, and they don't control a single institution. Not one. There's not one government institution that Republicans control. On the federal level, anyway. Not one. And I think the Republicans were maybe thinking very cynically. They're like, well, we control the Pentagon, right? Sure, the Democrats may control the National Endowment for the Arts and the Department of Education and the Justice Department. But ultimately, we got the Department of Defense and the Pentagon. So all that other stuff, like, yeah, not controlling the FBI and the State Department, that does kind of suck. But we control the Pentagon, so that's like it's a pretty big piece. And okay, if
American politics were a monopoly board, what would fucking the Republicans have? Like St. James Place or something?
Yeah, they have nothing.
And they have a little house on it, and meanwhile they got hotels lined up on Park Avenue.
Even if it were true that Republicans control the Pentagon, that's still a terrible plan, right? I mean, in another country, fine, right? If this were not the United States of America, if this were a slightly different kind of set of institutions, and you showed me a country where one party controlled like literally almost every aspect of the federal government's bureaucracy, except for the military, which was like a stalwart for the other party, and then you say, and so that keeps the elections fair. It's like, how on earth? Is like, because one side controls the courts, the cops, it controls the museum, it controls a school, and what is the